Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Honestly ladies, is there any better subject than shoes? Hardly, I guess. But what about bridal shoes or shoes for an elegant evening or ball? I think that is even, the maximization of the topic. So it might be the less apparent accessory, but it is an all-important accessory because we walk on those shoes when we walk down the aisle, and we better make it there without sore feet. And some brides might even think, well, maybe I need to make sure that I can run in my shoes in order to run away. Well, joking aside, no, I think it's a really important subject, so we really have to address this. And of course, it's this big challenge about comfort, but at the same time, the shoe and the design of the shoe has to be at the height of your very special dress. And this is why in this video I will be presenting you some royal suppliers. They made, of course, bespoke shoes, but also two other suppliers that are known to me and that I can recommend. As you know, my videos are not sponsored, they are my personal recommendations based on experience. Do not forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell and share if you liked my videos. Whilst on some occasions we ladies are wearing what I call sitting down shoes because they are really not made to be worn, then I can say, even if the shoes are the most beautiful shoes you've ever seen, you should not go for such a pair for your special day. And have a look at what Freddie says from Freddie, my love, a very nice influencer, content creator on YouTube that I encountered, and I think she puts it excellently.
Don't actually wear them, but look at them. These are art. Like, honestly, all of these shoes are artwork. Like, they don't get worn. They're ornaments.
Well, isn't she charming? I think it's just excellent. I laughed my head off. Well, on the day of your wedding, the comfort and the optic of your shoes are equally important. I mean, if you wear a short dress, for example, should you be wearing a long dress, I would say that the comfort is even more important than the design. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying here go all for the comfort, because then some of you might think, well then Joanna, that's very easy, I put on my sneakers and I'm fine. Well, first of all, there are situations when your feet will be seen stepping out of a car into a car, when sitting down. There are certain movements where you do not want to pay attention all the time, that your shoes cannot be seen. And also if you say, well, I have very beautiful sneakers in white and lace, why not wear something like that? Well, I personally would say really have a look at your posture when you wear your dress in those sneakers, because my personal experience is that when wearing a heel, may it be a kitten heel or a very low heel, but it changes your posture and it makes you look all the more elegant. And don't we all want to be elegant, at least on that day? So think it over. I mean, of course you're free to do whatever you want, but I just want to point out that this is an aspect you really should pay attention to. So when you're trying on your dress and you have maybe the idea of wearing sneakers, look at yourself. How is your posture? How are you moving? And especially if you have not been wearing such an elegant dress before, I think it helps to wear heels. Even small kitten heels of 4 centimeters or 6 centimeters changes everything. Check it out. Maybe have a friend make a small video so that you can see yourself moving. I think it's very difficult to tell just when looking into the mirror. So it's not a day for the sneaker, but believe me ladies, it's not a day for the glass slipper. The glass slipper is really just working in fairy tales, and I'm not sure it worked in Cinderella because she had to leave at 12 o'clock. Well, maybe it was not the spell, but maybe she had just sore feet and she even left one of her shoes. But okay, no, I know, I'm just joking. But there is a model out there, it's called the Crystal Pump by Jimmy Choo, and it's a beautiful shoe. I mean, have a look at this. Isn't this a masterpiece? But there I'm again with Freddie. I mean, it's an ornament. And also, so that we know what we are talking about, I put down the prices in 3 currencies because I wanted to know. So we're talking about 5,100 US dollars for this shoe, or 3,700 British pounds, or 4,250 euro. As you see, it doesn't change the currency, makes it not better. And I think in some cases it might even be more expensive, or turn out to be more expensive than your dress. And it's really not worthwhile because they are beautiful, yes, but you will be so unhappy in those shoes And I really tell you, I have been in my shoes for 14 hours non-stop, and I have been dancing, I think, 5 hours from those 14 hours, because it was church and then dinner and then the party and then, you know, drinking, dancing. So I would say I danced 5 hours, and I had different shoes to make sure that I could do that. And I think it was much more important to me to have fun dancing, to be able to dance. Should you get really tempted by the optics, think again, because should you go for this shoe having heard the price, and is it worth it? I don't think so, because you will be sacrificing your comfort, and there is no higher value than your comfort. Also, when we talk about comfort, it's not only about the height of the heel, it's also obviously about the material. So pay attention of what material the shoe is made. The cheaper the shoes, the most probable it is that the inside is probably not leather. I would recommend that you should go for natural fibers. Should you be vegan, I understand when they say vegan leather, be aware it's plastic and it's not good for the environment either. It's made on the basis of petrol, and it can only be recycled 2 or 3 times, and you will be sweating and you might be slipping out of your shoe. So consider, maybe if you have a problem with leather, maybe something textile. Very often bridal shoes are made out of silk, satin, but also pay attention to the inside of the shoe, very important. Now let's have a look at our royal brides. Now, the dress of the century, of the last century, is of course Diana's dress. But do you know what shoes she wore? Well, have a look. They are matching the lace of her dress, of course, and they have a very low heel. That is because Diana was quite tall, and would she have worn normal heels or even 6-centimeter heels, she would have been taller than her groom, and they didn't want that. So they went for those rather flat heeled, I think it was like 2 centimeters, maximum 3 centimeter heel that she had there. But you see, she had a heel because it changes the posture. So Diana's shoes were made by Clive Shilton. They were bespoke, and as you see, again, textile covered. Now, for example, the Duchess of Sussex, she wore in church bespoke shoes by Givenchy. They were covered in the same material than her dress. And as she changed in the evening for the party, there she had bespoke shoes made by Acquazzurra, and they had a very pale blue sole, a very nice detail, how I find. But again, bespoke shoes. The Duchess of Cambridge, she also wore bespoke Alexander McQueen shoes, and these were covered with the bespoke Chantilly lace that also covered the top of her dress. Her Majesty the Queen, back then, she wore shoes, they were sandals, silk sandals made by Rain. I will put down all those brand names in the description box down below, so that you can look them up and maybe you'll find something on their websites. So let's continue with the royal brides. The Duchess of Cornwall, remember she had this blue, pale blue dress with an overcoat. Also bespoke shoes by L.K. Bennett. Princess Eugenie, she wore Charlotte Olympia peep toes, also textile cover to match her dress. And Princess Beatrice, remember she wore a dress that Her Majesty the Queen had worn before on an occasion. And she also went for shoes that she already owned and that she had been wearing on Prince William's and Kate Middleton's wedding in 2011. They were by Valentino. If you also want to optimize your price per wear, I recommend that you select shoes that you will be able to be wearing on other occasions as well. And the good thing being, you probably don't have to respect any protocol, so you can go a little wild. Maybe you also have flowers, colorful flowers in your bouquet, so probably one of your preferred colors. Normally one does so. And then you can kind of build a link to the shoes, or maybe you have a colored sash or something somewhere in your dress, a color element, then you can link it to the shoes. And if you don't have it in the dress, then go with the bouquet, and then you can go for any color you like. Probably your most preferred color would instinctively be a choice, and yeah, and any color matches white or ivory. I personally find when you go for smooth plain white leather shoes, they always have a tendency to look really cheap. I have personally I have never seen any shoes in smooth white plain leather that look high quality. Maybe that's just me. I personally recommend that you should go for ivory and with a tendency towards a textile cover rather than smooth leather. But what many don't know is that you have the option that when you see a shoe in ivory, in satin silk ivory, you can obviously dye it. And as you probably don't want to risk to do that yourself, you should leave that to the professionals. And there I would like to recommend a brand. Please remember that my videos are not sponsored. So if I make a recommendation, it's because I'm personally convinced that it's a good quality and a good option. And it's no wonder, because in that case it's the brand that I opted for myself. It's the company called Rainbow Club. So this is how it works. You go on their website, you choose a model that you like, and if you go for the silk satin covered shoes, you can have them dyed. So you order first the shoes and you have to have them sent to you. So you buy the regular shoes in ivory and they are sent to you. You can try them on and you make sure that they are the right size. And already when placing the order, you say you want to have them colored, and then you go on the color studio page, and there they have an order form, and there you can already choose a color. So I knew exactly which color I wanted, one of my favorite colors. So I had this fabric here, it's the exact color that I wanted my shoes to be, and I also had matching flowers in my bouquet. And so the shoes were here. I put this into the package with the shoes and sent it to them with the order of the shoes to be dyed. And look at this so that you see how well they did it. It's exactly, but really exactly the same color. So you can really be sure that they make a perfect job on this. If you have a sample, that's the best and the safest way to do so. Now you can also opt for different height of heels, and that's what I did, as you see here. So that's the shoes I went for, and it's a 6.5 centimeter heel, and for me that was absolutely comfortable. What they also have, I don't know if I show it to you here, and if I press on it, you see it's like walking on air. They have kind of a pad here all along, and I also had obviously my right size. But you make sure that you have the right size before you send it back for the coloring, because otherwise they cannot return it to you. So I can just recommend, besides this option that I went for, in the meantime I discovered another brand, and you probably have also noticed that there is a very strong tendency towards other materials like velvet. I mean, of course there's also leather and suede. Suede I would not recommend, because if you dance and your husband touches your shoe with his shoes, then you will have those black stripes and you get them hardly out of the suede. And if you go for smooth leather, then I would maybe see to that you have like a shiny or pearl effect, because that's more beautiful than this very plain hard white leather that I pointed out before that looks rather cheap. But let's stick with the velvet shoes, because there I have a jewel that I discovered. I would like to introduce you to a Spanish brand which is called Salo Madrid. The company was founded by Salome Lopez in 2008, and it was a childhood dream come true. And she makes bespoke shoes. You can also opt for suede and leather, but also velvet. And when you go on her web shop, you can get bespoke shoes. Please don't get mixed up between bespoke and made to measure. They are not made to measure. You choose a size and you go with this size and you choose a model. So you can choose the material, so suede, leather or velvet, and the colors in the respective materials. And then of course the height of the heel, the thickness of the heel, and whether you want decorations, adornments on the shoes or not, meaning a brooch with rhinestones or pom-poms or nothing. So that of course has also an influence on the price, but Mrs. Lopez will take care of your order and you will have your very personal shoe. And what I find really sweet is that you have ballerina models for children. So for your flower girls, you can have matching shoes to your shoes, and I think this is a very nice harmonious picture. If you look on the website, you will find a few examples. Isn't that cute? Yes, and given the times that we're living in, you don't have to go to Madrid. Be reassured, you can order online. In short, my recommendation would be to go for a shoe with a low heel, maximum 6.5 centimeters from my own experience. I would personally opt for a shoe in color. The velvet shoes by Salo Madrid, you can also have them in ivory, don't worry, but I would probably go for something in color, a color where I know that I will have fun using it and on different occasions and quite often, so that I get a low price per wear and I don't pay really those extraordinary high prices like Jimmy Choo and his crystal pump, unless it's an ornament and you want to put it on the shelf, as Freddie says. But another way is, of course, and it's a very sustainable way, is to go for a shoe that you already have and that you love and that you know that you're comfortable in. Maybe you then say, yes, but Joanna, this shoe is then not decorative enough and not special enough. Well, there I have a recommendation. You can find shoe adornments on Etsy.com or rubylane.com. And there is a vast choice of rhinestone brooches, of pompons, of flowers, of feathers, and you can buy that at a very, very low price and pimp up your shoe. I personally would go and look for fur clips. These are vintage costume jewels that ladies used to wear in the 20s, 30s and 40s, and they clipped it onto the furs. And that is leather, of course, as well, and then you can also use it for the shoes. And if you type in fur clip or fur clips and then maybe also name some of the designers that I mentioned in my bridal jewelry video, there you have a list of hand-selected custom jewelry vintage designers that make the most beautiful models, then you might come across some of the models that I pop up here. I mean, have a look, aren't they beautiful? Of course, I cannot assure that you will find the very same pieces, because that's probably only what is there now today when I make the video. But of course, there are always new models coming in, or old new models, because that is vintage. And the good thing that you should know is, should you go for one of the designers that I named in my jewelry video, like Marcel Boucher, Trifari, whom else did I mention? Michel Maer by DIOR, there are so many. Then you can be sure that if you want to resell them, that you won't be losing money. And I think it's a good idea to be aware of the expenses that we have for such a wedding, and we should pay attention to that. And if you have a very comfortable pair of shoes and you just need to pimp it up a bit, that is the perfect way to do it. And you will enjoy researching those beautiful jewels. Should you not have watched my bridal jewelry video, have a look at the video in which I explain what you have to look for and how you recognize the wonderful collector pieces. And the good thing about them is that they are affordable. And finally, I want to say how happy and grateful I am for your kind feedback that I have been receiving on my last videos. My channel is still small but steadily growing, and I'm happy for any subscriber. And as I have pointed out in my trailer, this channel is not only about wedding accessories, it's about any lifestyle product you can imagine. It can be food, it can be kitchen accessories, it can be interior design, furniture, paint, lamps, lighting, garden furniture, dog accessories, whatever comes, food, whatever comes to your mind. So if you're interested in one of these subjects or anything I should not have mentioned, please let me know. I'll be happy to cover it. And I wish you a successful and good and healthy week. See you on the next one. Bis bald und auf Wiedersehen.